Hey guys, what is up? Today we are going to be reviewing the GVM versus the Konova. They're really affordable budget motorized sliders. Both of them are around the $250 to like $200 to $300 range mark. I'll link both down below so you can check them out, the ones I got. Or I'll link the very similar ones down below. With the GVM, I got the longer one that was like 5 feet or something like that, or 4 feet maybe. I think it was like 50 something inches. The thing is, I'm used to, like, this is my Rhino slider that I used forever. I'm used to having a big slider. I don't need a portable slider really. Most of my stuff that I use slider for is like locked down in a studio in a controlled setting, so I don't really need a portable slider that I can move around a lot. Okay, and so full disclosure, I'm gonna be sending this Konova back and keeping the GVM for reasons that I will explain, but first, let's talk about the common similarities between each slider, and there are a lot. Okay, so first off, they are both very light for what they are. They're both made out of carbon fiber, I believe. You never know, there's fake carbon fiber out there like Prince, but as light as it is, I'm assuming it is carbon fiber. This one, of course, is longer, the GVM, like I said before, but you can get the length of this Konova, which is 31 inches, in the GVM for very, very similar prices, like maybe a $10 difference or maybe a $20 difference. But let me show you the carbon fiber of each. The Konova looks more like a tighter weave, like a checkerboard type pattern, whereas the GVM here is more of like your traditional, like offset, staggered carbon fiber weave pattern. They both offer this dial right here that you can switch. You can loosen this knob, and you can move this up and down, which changes whether the camera arcs in or does an outward arc. Basically, you put a product in the center of the shot and you circle around it with this, technically. The GVM one actually has raised knobs, which actually work better than the Konova. You don't have to get on there so tight, you can just get on there and loosen it up and it's good to go. With the Konova, it's much closer to the surface here. So, I mean, it's not super hard to grip, but once in a while you'll miss it and slip. It's not a huge deal, but it is something. The Konova has legs that fold out and they stop right there at that angle. There's no like hard stops, it's just a smooth open like that. GVM is the exact same way. It just pulls out, no stops, just a hard stop at the end. Let me throw the motor on this little Konova. That's another thing, the Konova you have to kind of assemble a little bit. The GVM comes assembled and ready to go. It's not a huge assembly process at all. It's not that complicated. You can set it up pretty easily. This is the motor for the Konova, right there. And it is controlled and powered by an Ethernet cable. This is the motor for the GVM. Looks like the exact same motor, just a different power module up top. It's like a proprietary mini XLR type pin thing. They both have a tripod base that you loosen with a screw and you can move back and forth. And they're operated with bearings on the bottom. The Konova also has a 1/4-20 standard mount, but a 3/8 adapter, which I'm not a fan of. The GVM also has a loosen knob thing where you can control that, and again, it is on a simple bearing setup as well. And it also has the standard 1/4-20 mount, which I hate as well, but it has a 3/8 adapter. Still not a fan of that. Both companies should make one with a standard 3/8 stud, I think. Both of them have a controller that is powered by NPF on the back. The Konova is like a knob thing. It's okay, and then has a click in, whereas this one has actual buttons where you click it like that. I think this feels more solid personally. This seems a little bit more sketchy as far as getting it exactly right. And I hate the, like, whenever you push this in, sometimes it wants to jerk when you push it in and you miss a setting or something like that. But that's that. That's this. This one has a strap on it, which comes in handy right here. The Konova does not. Now let's talk about the pros and cons of each over the other. And to be honest, this is gonna feel a little bit lopsided because to me, the Konova only has one benefit over the GVM, and that is going to be the cable management system for this right here. The cable that manages this is just an Ethernet, and you can get like a 50-foot Ethernet cord if you want and make it as long as you want and control this, whatever. But this one with the GVM is a USB to mini pin XLR looking thing. There is 4 pins in total in there, and you plug it into this thing, and you have that length right there out of the box. The Konova is just as long out of the box, but it's also, you can just replace the Ethernet cord with a different, longer Ethernet cord and have more distance between you and the slider if you need more distance away from it. And that's not even a huge pro. Never in my time of using both of these have I needed more length than what is provided. Now let's talk about the cons of the Konova slider, which basically is the pros of the GVM slider. And at the end, I'll tell you about my customer service experience I had with Konova, who apparently people say they have good customer experience. I had the opposite of that. But anyway, let's get into the cons of the Konova, which is also the pros of the GVM. Number one, I like the interface on this better. All I'm doing is manual back and forth. That's all I'm doing with this. I'm not doing a set thing back and forth. I mean, this does that, but I'm not doing that. So all I'm doing is going to video shot and then manual mode. The speed right off the bat, you can just control with the down arrow, and it's just gonna go down, the up arrow, and it goes up. And then you just click right button to go right, left button to go left, and that's it. You can set an A/B point if you want. I don't, because this is like a 4 or 5 foot slider, so I don't really need that. I know when to stop. To go back to the home, you just hold the center button like that, and then you can go to a time lapse where it does like the stop and start, which I never do anyways. But here's another little plus of the GVM. They include about every single cord you need for any camera ever. So if you have a multiple camera setup, this is probably the way to go. The Konova includes one. I think you can specify which one whenever you get it shipped, maybe. But the GVM just covers all bases. You have everything you need. Now the Konova interface is different. Every single time you turn this on, you have to set your point A, set point A, you have to set point B, we'll set point B, and then you can go into your menu. And I will do a live motion, and then you do manual mode, very similar. And then to change your speed, you just click it that way to go lower, that way to go higher. Sorry if you can't see that, it's a glare. And then you can choose ramping on and off. I think that comes automatic on the GVM. Then you can start and you can go left and right. So if you're just wanting to set up and start filming right away, the Konova, you have to go through that extra step of setting your point A and point B. That is, if you need that, it's a probably good idea. If you don't need that, it's kind of a hassle. All right, let's get on to the second con of the Konova, which is a pro of the GVM, and this is a pretty big issue to me, and that is the mounting options for your slider. And the GVM gets it right, the Konova does not. So let me explain. On the Konova, this is the bottom of your slider where you have mounting options, right? You see a 1/4-20 and you see a 3/8 right there, and you think, hey, it's gonna be easy to mount. What you don't know is that you have these brackets right here that you have to install. Let me show you. So these two holes in this bracket line up with the holes right here on this side. So you have to mount each one poking out on the side that the motor's on, because the cable runs from the end of this down to the motor. So you have to mount it over here on this side. You line those holes up or whatever like that, and you have this 1/4-20 right here, which is great, right? You can just mount your 1/4-20 and go. Now let's flip to the other side. Now remember, you have to be on the motor side poking out. So the side that does the motor, you're poking out, right? You line these up, these holes. Look at the distance between the edge of your 1/4-20 hole and the edge of this right here. How are you gonna screw any type of spigot or mount or stud onto that? So here's your spigot, right? You wanna plug this into your 1/4-20. Guess what? It's gonna get stopped by the edge of this right here. You can't screw it in. But I found a solution to this, and that is these like Manfrotto ones, and they come with these little nuts or whatever on them. So this somewhat worked for this setup. Let me explain why. The one side right here, the one side where you have to get a narrow little opening, you can screw this in. Yeah, you can get it screwed in, but these are super long studs on this, so it's not gonna lock down. It's easy to just come undone. And if it's not locked down properly, you have a wobble on your slider, which just ruins your shot. So it is possible with the Konova to get it locked down. And this is assuming that you wanna use it on stands. I don't, not all the shots I have to set it up on a table. If you're just gonna set this up on a table, 100% fine. Now with the GVM, this whole mechanism right here at the end, is much more bulky than the Konova one, but it's built in, these holders that hold your rubber belt right here. And you have two 1/4-20 mounts right here that are easily accessible. You don't have to do any kind of finagling or any weird setups to get that to work. It's just right off the bat, works great. And then finally, let's talk about motor noise. There are other pros and cons, but the big ones are what I'm gonna address. There's like little random things like what the GVM includes versus what the Konova includes. You get like a battery, and you get an extra belt, which is a little ironic because the first Konova I ordered, I had to return. I'll tell you about that here in a minute. But the one I ordered again didn't even come with a belt, so I'm gonna return that for sure. All right, but let's talk about motor noise. The GVM is significantly quieter than the Konova. Let me show you. And clearly, as you can see, the ramp worked better at 100% for the Konova, but it was way louder than the GVM. The GVM was almost silent. If you can't tell, you might have to wear headphones for that so you can kind of really hear the whine and the hiss. I'm using a Rode NTG4 Plus up here, but so it should capture the noise pretty well. But just in case, if you can't really hear it, throw some headphones in and watch it again. But let's talk about my customer service experience with Konova. Also hit the thumbs up if I'm helping you at all with this advice. But let's talk about my customer service real quick with Konova. Now, my Konova, when I got it, I didn't know any better. I didn't know about this. I didn't know this GVM existed, so I loved it. Even though it was super frustrating trying to find mounting options for the Konova and trying to figure that all out, when it worked well, and I loved it. The noise didn't bother me because I'm not using the Konova for interview shots. Neither am I using the GVM for interview shots. They're just product shots that I'm doing. So like I said, the Konova worked well when it worked well. But imagine my surprise when after about 5 uses, the Konova just craps out. The motor stops working. It's working, but it's very erratic. I would push right on the thing and it would go left sometimes right, and it would go really slowly and it would be really, really loud. Here's a clip of that so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. It was just very, very erratic. The motor was clearly just blown. And luckily, extremely luckily, I purchased this on Amazon, and I always recommend you buy on Amazon if you're gonna buy something. If you have the option to get it on Amazon, get it on Amazon, because you have that double layer of security with Amazon's customer return policy. They're gonna always try to make sure you're happy and good and that you get a return. So luckily I did that. And again, also I'll link both of these on Amazon. So if you wanna buy the Konova, you can. If you wanna buy the GVM, I think you should, and you can. There will be affiliate links, of course, so it doesn't cost you any extra money, but it puts like, I don't know how much they cost, maybe like 10 bucks in my pocket or something like that. I don't know. But luckily, I had the Amazon buyer protection because I reached out to Konova in chat. Now in chat, luckily I had taken that video that I showed you earlier of the motor. Luckily I had taken that video while I was doing that. And when I reached out to Konova, they asked me to send them a video of that. So I sent them the video of that. All I was asking for was a simple exchange. I send it back, you send me a new one, call it good. But they then proceeded to ask me for like 3 more videos of like different things of like the underside, taking the motor off, filming just the motor, showing them a video of, just a bunch of random videos they wanted. And the slider was here at the studio. I don't live here. This is just my studio. I'm at my house across town. I don't want to drive across town just to take some videos to send to you. I sent them a video of exactly what was going on. They should know right then and there. That's probably not salvageable. We should do an exchange. But lo and behold, no, they were being very difficult about it. And I've heard from other reviewers about Konova about their customer service. It's supposed to be great. This was not my experience at all. Luckily, I simultaneously opened a chat with Amazon as soon as they started asking me for videos and like all kinds of different stuff. I was like, okay, this is gonna be a hassle. Within 5 minutes, Amazon issued me a return, sent it back, ordered a new one, and that was the one that you just saw on video that didn't come with a belt. So I don't think that Konova's track record with me is that exemplary. I'm probably not gonna buy any more of their stuff. For me, this GVM is working great. I love it. And again, I'll link it down below. I'll link the Konova down below. This is by no means to bash on the Konova. When it works well. And you might get lucky and you might get one that works really well. They are like maybe 20 bucks cheaper than the GVM with the comparable model. Mine, of course, is the longer one with the 50 something inch. I'll link this one down below too. I think this is a better option than getting the 31 or 29 or 30 whatever inches it is. If you're not traveling with your slider all the time, I would get a bigger one. This one is only like 50 or 60 bucks more, and you get a lot more travel distance on this slider right here. So just to sum it up, buy the GVM, avoid the Konova if you can. You might want the Konova, and it is like the S1 system, whatever it's called. It might work better because you can buy that system and put it on other Konova sliders. So that might be better to get like an old K3 slider or something like that and just put it on that. I think they are adaptable to that. So that would be maybe a good bet if you're trying to go the budget route where you can just buy that motor system. The one I bought was the carbon fiber with the motor all together in a package for like $260 or something like that, or $270. So the Konova route could be a better choice if you just picked the motor up and then slapped it on another Konova slider that was better manufactured. Then again, my motor blew up after like 5 uses, and Konova was being kind of a hassle when I wanted to get a return. So number one, order this stuff on Amazon. Even if you don't use my affiliate link, just go to Amazon and look these up. And I would definitely order from Amazon if you're gonna order these. You have that double layer protection. It's always better that way. Any questions questions you guys have, throw them in the comments down below. Hit the like button again, please. Thank you so much. It helps me kind of beat the YouTube algorithm. And I guess that is the end of the video, guys. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.